Good evening. I'd like to call this Thursday, May 26, 2022, school board meeting, Tacoma School Board business meeting to order. Would you please join me in flag salute? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Tacoma Public Schools acknowledges that we are on the traditional, ancestral, and historic lands of the Puyallup tribe of Indians. We honor with gratitude the land itself and the Puyallup tribe. This acknowledgement serves as the first step in honoring our nearest neighbors, tribal neighbors, and partners who have inhabited this region since time immemorial, and to whom we give thanks for allowing us passage to their lands. We shall intentionally create inclusive and respectful partnerships that honor Indigenous cultures, histories, identities, and socio-political realities. General Counsel, would you please call the roll?
Yes, good evening, President Von Bright.
Yes.
Vice President Keating.
Here.
Director Leone.
Here.
Director Strozier.
Here.
And Director McElroy.
Here.
I'd also like to acknowledge our student board representatives that are here tonight, Tasia Watson and Shidra Bwanica. Thank you, we have a quorum.
Before we get going on adopting the agenda and moving forward with the board meeting, I'd like to make a statement. I begin our board meeting this evening by addressing the horrific tragedy that took place this week in Uvalde, Texas, at Robb Elementary School. I wish I could say these examples of senseless gun violence are isolated incidents that don't touch us in Tacoma. However, I know this is not true. Every single day, Tacoma families entrust Tacoma Public Schools with their children. They are relying on us to teach their children and keep them safe. I know I speak for my colleagues on the school board and the entire district when I say we take that responsibility very seriously. There is no higher priority than the safety and well-being of our students and our staff. My heart breaks for those families of the children and teachers who lost their lives. When trauma like this occurs, it affects our students, our staff, our families, and our entire community. Here in Tacoma, I am grateful that for our skilled and compassionate educators across the district. I know that they have provided guidance and comfort this week. And I'm grateful for the Tacoma Police Department for their ongoing dedication and support of our staff and our students and the partnership that we have together. You have probably seen some reminders recently of our See Something, Say Something campaign. And this is something is really important. It's how we prevent future incidents in our community. We can all help to keep our schools safe. If you see or know of a threat to a school, immediately call 911 and make a report. Our flags were at half-staff last week in acknowledgement of the tragedy in Buffalo. And this week, they will remain at half-staff to acknowledge the grieving community of Uvalde, Texas. I'd like to ask that we all consider how we can further our work together as a school community and challenge ourselves individually to use our voices and our talents to help ensure the safety and well-being of our students, our staff, and our entire community. After all, we are truly better together. Does anyone else have a comment they want to make?
Yeah,
Director Strozier.
Thank you. As you just mentioned, we sat down last week in the section where you guys all are for a study session, and we made similar comments about Buffalo. And here we are this week making similar comments about Robb Elementary in Texas. No matter where in this country or in the world that these senseless acts of violence take place, the ripple effect is extremely profound. Those babies went to school as they have all year, expecting to return home, as they have all year. But due to a series of unfortunate events, that didn't happen. Lives forever changed, babies that'll never get to realize their wildest dreams. My thoughts and my prayers are with the families of the young scholars that gain their wings way too early. At some point, though, we're going to have to realize that thoughts and prayers alone, without work, are just words. There are people in this country in positions that can do their part to ensure things like this never happen again. I urge them to do so. To all of our educators, anybody who enters the building to serve our young people, I see you and I thank you. To our families that are struggling with the idea of dropping your kid off at what's supposed to be one of the safest places for them, I see you and I'm right there with you. We have a ton of work to do in this country, in our communities. And for the sake of the babies, man, let's all do our part. Talk is cheap. Tweets are cheap. Instagram posts are cheap without the work to actually make change happen. So I just want to encourage everybody to look deep inside yourself and see what it is that you can do to contribute to the change that's going to keep our babies safe, because I'm tired of having these conversations. Thank you.
Thank you. Director Leon?
So I agree with everything both of you have said, and I think it's also important as a health professional, I remind everybody that this is a public health epidemic also that is occurring. Gun violence is a health epidemic. So there's gun injury prevention that can occur. There's research that can occur that's not happening at the level it should occur. So that's something that schools are not going to solve, but we need the whole community and all the partners in the community to come together, along with politicians, to think of this as not a political issue, but a public health issue. We have to challenge ourselves, as you said. We have to challenge all the organizations that are in our community, locally and nationally. So research is part of the answer. There's curriculum that can occur to help prevent gun injuries. Like I said, not making it political, but making it about saving lives. And so the curriculum exists that could be brought here to help some of the students and teachers learn some skills in this. And we'll have more conversations around that in the future, I'm sure.
Okay, thank you.
President Bonbright?
Yep.
I will keep mine very brief. Most people in the room know I'm a preschool teacher, and it was really hard, to look at parents in the face and hear them, and I understand you don't want to drop your child off if after horrific events happen, but I can't even negate the fact that horrific things happen here in Tacoma as well. This past weekend, young people were shot at here in our city. So this is not just about Texas. It's not just about politicians. It's about our own community. I just want to bring that home. This is hard work. And I think everybody here at this dais, and I believe everybody in this room, we all see that. And we're all going to work towards, keeping our children safe. May I also note, they were not shot at Tacoma Public Schools. They were shot in our community. But that was very traumatic to hear. And just know that we see you, we hear you, and we're going to do the work. If no one else does, this board, we're going to do our job. Thank you for the time, President Bonbright.
You're welcome. Okay. All right, so do we have a motion to adopt the agenda?
I move to adopt the agenda.
All right.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, moving on to item 6, recognition of staff, students, and community. And we'll start with 6.1.
Recognition of student board representatives. The superintendent on special assignment recommends that the board of directors recognize the student representatives who have served on the board this year. Caitlin Ye, senior at Stadium, Tasia Watson, senior at School of the Arts, along with alternates Shidra Buanica, junior at Science and Math Institute, and Paris Quinn, junior at Mount Tahoma.
Okay, so we are excited. So where are our, oh, there they are. Do you guys want to come up to the podium where Amanda is, please? And we have a little slideshow. So exciting. As you can see, Caitlin is first up. And So I just
Do you want some help?
Well, I was going to have her come up and
Great.
to shake hands.
Great.
So when we call your name, I'm going to just tell a little bit. Let's see. I don't know that I have any aside from where you're with, but just maybe you can say a quick thing about this, and then come up and shake hands and get your thing. Okay, Caitlin, yeah, from Stadium High School. You can say something first. You can go ahead.
If you have anything to say, you can say something first.
Yes, you can say something first, or
If you want.
if you want.
Let's make it really awkward. Can we do that?
Either, because you're up here, come on. So shake hands. Let's start.
All right, congratulations. Thank you very much for helping us. Appreciate it.
Sorry. And you're welcome to say something when you get back to the podium. Thank you. Thank you. Yep. Okay.
Yeah, just like the past 2 years of serving as a student rep and an alternate has been an honor, and it's just been really interesting to learn about this whole process and just get to know information that I wouldn't know as just a student going through school. So thank you.
Thank you for all the time you gave us. Next up is Tasia Watson. Tasia, tell us a little bit about yourself and what you got out of this experience, and then come on up.
Okay, I'm Tasia Watson. I use she, her pronouns. I'm a senior at SOTA, the School of the Arts, and I've really enjoyed my time here. This is my first year here, but I've really enjoyed seeing the process, just like Caitlin said, and I really just needed the platform. I just love speaking for students, and I'm really grateful for this opportunity, so thank you.
Thank you, Tasia. Come on up. There you go. It's pretty, isn't it? Thank you. Thanks for all your time and energy. All right. Next up is Shidra. Shidra, do you want to say a little bit about yourself and what you got out of this experience?
Hello, Shidra Bonica, and I'm a junior at Science and Math Institute. Just like everybody else, it's been very interesting to be here and learning about how everything works that I wouldn't usually know if I was just like everybody else. But yeah, thank you for the opportunity.
Okay. Thank you. It's been great to hear your voice. What a great group. And next, I don't see Paris. Is Paris in the back of the room somewhere? Okay. So our fourth, who's also an alternate, is Paris Quinn, and she's a junior at Mount Tacoma, and we will make sure that she gets her award in gratitude. And I just want to say that this has been a tough year. I mean, we're coming out of COVID, but we weren't out yet, and really want to give a big thank you to all of you for the time and energy that you dedicated to this, the contributions that you made, the dedication you showed to talk with your colleagues and peers and figure out, how policies might impact their lives. And I know you're all going to do great things, and hopefully we'll see a couple of you back next year. But anyway, anyone else?
I just want to say an extra special thank you to Caitlin, because you were with us last school year, and there was a whole lot that we did, and you, and I know we, praised you and your colleagues for last year that were on the student reps, but I'm really grateful that you gave us 2 years of your time when you could have been doing other things, and to all of our student reps. So I just want to personally say thank you.
Perfect. Well, and one more round of applause for our student reps. Thank you, guys. Okay, 6.2. Amanda's up. Recognition for Gold Star Community Partner Award to Crystal Brazel of Rock, Paper, Scissors Foundation.
All right. Good evening, Board of Directors and our beloved community. It's my pleasure, Amanda Scott Thomas, Director of the Partnership Office, to present to you tonight our Gold Star Community Partner Award for the month of May. Tacoma Public Schools defines partnership as a cooperative relationship between students, families, schools, the school district, and the greater Tacoma community. Partners are committed to supporting the academic success and the success of the whole child. Partners work with and invest in the education of our children and youth, whose future in turn will affect the quality of life in the entire Tacoma community. When it comes to student success, Tacoma Public Schools realizes that we cannot do it alone. And in recognition of an investment of time, talent, and resources for TPS students and families and our staff, the Gold Star Community Partner Award signifies honor and thanks to a community partner who has made a difference by doing what is best for kids. Tonight we have Crystal Brazel. She is a published author, a trauma coach, an expert in handling cases of human trafficking, trauma care, sexual abuse, child abuse, and mental health issues. Crystal has taken a solid stance on confronting this plague of sexual abuse and human trafficking head on. Her foundation, Rock, Paper, Scissors, specializes in helping and supporting those who have been physically, mentally, sexually, and emotionally abused and human trafficked, and it serves women, men, girls, and boys. Crystal provides helpful knowledge and insights on how to combat this humane exploitation and those practices in different communities through education, through her work with other community leaders, and engaging in awareness campaigns to wake up our cities to hope and help for those being exploited through human trafficking. On May 7th, 2022, Rock, Paper, Scissors hosted its second Break the Silence mental health check-in program in Tacoma. And Tacoma TPS students and staff were able to attend, and they got to hear from neuroscientist Dr. Carolyn Leaf, former NFL player and mental health therapist Jay Barnett of Dallas, Texas, mental health advocate and national recording artist Michelle Williams of Destiny's Child, and national recording artist Jessica Reedy. Crystal Brazel's walk, also known as Crystal Clear, is far greater than her talk, as she challenges people with this theme: we can't do anything about the past, but we sure can do something about the future. And it's with that we want to recommend Crystal Clear, Crystal Brazel, and Rock, Paper, Scissors for the May Award for a Gold Star Community Partner. Can we give her a hand and welcome her?
Yes, we can.
Thank you.
So hi, I'm completely humbled. This is just what I get to do. And so when I get an award, I'm like, for what? This is what I'm called to do. This is my personal mandate, is to bridge gaps in communities and to give others, girls, brown girls, all girls, a voice. And the mental health check-in was very personal to me because in my family and our bloodline, we have seen what mental health looks like. And even if we look at what's going on now, as you were speaking, I could identify with what you were saying. And as you were speaking, I then realized that none of this was in vain, but it was so necessary to bridge trauma, mental health in the community. If someone like me would unmask diagnosis, if you look at me from the outside, I probably look like I have it all together. But the shame that comes with the stigma of mental health will silence and bully us into secrets. And it is my job to partner with you to make sure that our community, whether it's teachers, security in the school, cafeteria workers, the students, do whatever they need. If they need extra accommodations in regards to a 504 plan, if that means that I need an extra few minutes before my test just to get some gum to chew, because right now situational trauma is reminding me of the fact of that we were in the military and that my father now has PTSD. There's so much going on and people are unaware of different types of trauma. And it's okay not to be okay, but it's not okay to be stuck. And it's not okay not to know who you really are, because what will happen if organizations and people like you guys that are in here making impact, if we don't bridge the gap, we'll have a whole bunch of people showing up for college that are mentally incapable of being able to process and communicate the right way because they've stuffed emotions, because we told them that they needed to be strong. We told them that they shouldn't cry as a man. Well, have you ever thought that sometimes those tears were liquid strength? that those were the tears that your son was going to see so that he could be vulnerable to connect with a wife. It's time to break the cycle in relationships and family, and it is in my DNA to do it. So I'm humbled and I'm honored that you gave me and rock, paper, scissors. I do it with an incredible team, and I need to thank my incredible team, my right hands, Chaselyn and Monica, and the whole team that works alongside of me to be able to make this type of community impact. I don't take it lightly, but I promised myself that I would not waste any pain, and that the little girl that had sexual abuse from her teacher at 11 years old, that felt unprotected, that realized she was protected later when someone came forward from 20 years later and stood up and said, it happened to me, and she found her voice. It was my due diligence to give back, and that's what we're doing. So thank you. Rock, no matter what you throw at me, paper, no matter how you crumble me, scissors, no matter how you cut me, I am an overcomer, and so are you. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Chris. Thank you. Yep.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Crystal. So impressive. Thank you. The work you do for our kids. Awesome. So thank you, Crystal. Wow, that's incredible what you do, and we're grateful to have you in our community and to have you working on behalf of our students. Okay, on to another exciting celebratory moment. This has been just already tonight, just waves of emotion. So we are going to turn to 6.3, which I am not going to make the superintendent on special assignment read because it's about her. So I am going to do that because this is actually on behalf of the board. I'll say 6.3, the board recognition of superintendent on special assignment, Carla Santorno. And so on behalf of the board, we are honored to recognize Superintendent of Special Assignment, Carla Santorno, for her years of service to the children of Tacoma Public Schools. After dedicating more than 40 years of her life to education, Carla will actually retire on June 30th. Woohoo! Carla joined Tacoma Public Schools in 2009 as Deputy Superintendent, and in 2012, the board selected her as the superintendent. So 10 years. Rooted in the belief that all children can learn and grow, she is focused on equitable outcomes for all students. There's some of her most notable accomplishments, and I know this is a long list, but really it speaks to where we are today as a school district and why we are an innovative leader in the country. So I'm going to read them no matter what. The first one is leading a charge to aggressively improve Tacoma's graduation rate, which rose to 98.9% in 2020, the highest it's been since the state began tracking in 2003. Collaborating with this board and to adopt the district's first strategic plan in 2011, and the board before us, I guess. The current plan measures five goal areas and has numerous benchmarks of success, including an advanced data system that helps ensure transparency. As Santorno often says, what gets measured gets done. And isn't that the truth? Her strategic work has led to an impressive number of unique partnerships, generating positive community support and results for Tacoma children. And by connecting with stakeholders across the district, she has created an aligned focus from classroom to classroom and school to school. For the past year, she has served as superintendent on special assignment, focusing on the district's equity initiative with the goal of improving cultural awareness, competency, understanding attitudes and behaviors of district employees, and created the equity design team on the staff level, which is going to keep this work going when she's no longer with us here every day. Throughout her career, she's been recognized for her leadership, including receiving the National 2016 Woman in School Leadership Award from the School Superintendents Association. And Carla has just, as I said earlier, too many achievements to list, and her positive impact on the Tacoma Public Schools and community are hard to quantify and will be definitely missed. As a leader, she models collaboration, dedication, and a relentless focus on what's best for kids. And that's something that I know we're going to really miss about you, because you're like the North Star that we follow. So we really appreciate you so much and wish you all the best in your retirement. and I'm going to let everyone else have a comment, and then I think we're all going to come up for a picture and give you your award together. So, and hopefully someone can take a picture. So I didn't plan this. This is all, I'm throwing this out on poor Renee. She's like, got my camera. All right. So anyone else have a comment to make?
Well, we feel super honored that we got to celebrate you at your retirement celebration. It was, I feel like yeah, we got to love on you in a really meaningful way as a community, and it was really extraordinary. And you already know, my heart. And you know my family's heart. So, and I know also she's not really going anywhere, everybody. So, but she's supposed to, her husband said she got to take 6 months off. But beyond that, but I just, it's been an honor to work alongside you in this capacity, and then also as a parent and a community partner. So,
Me too, you.
Congratulations.
Director Strozier?
Carla, we appreciate you. Extremely proud of you. Thankful for your service, and I hope you got some plans to enjoy retirement because you deserve it, man. You put your time in, and this is what it's all about. Seeing your family at the celebration, they're all ready to just have you 100% for a little bit. So I guess we can let that happen. But like I said, we appreciate you and can't wait to celebrate you even further because you've still got time. But yeah, looking forward to you having a great time in retirement.
Thank you. Thanks.
Mine's really, Carla, girl. Okay, I already cried once today, so I'm not gonna cry now. But I will say, as a young Black girl who grew up in the Tacoma schools and in our community, it was really rare when I was under the age of 12 that I saw a Black woman in powerful positions and in leadership. And then there came Marilyn Strickland, and a few years later, there came you. I will say that it's really touching to be here right now in this moment where Crystal Brazil just spoke and her journey and my journey. And I'm looking at Shedra out here, and I'm just like, it's because of women like you that women like me get to exist, that girls like Cedra get to ascend. And I'm grateful for your service to community. And even if you didn't have any other accomplishment, I saw you walk the halls of Bernie Elementary School, and my girls came to after school program like, did you know the superintendent was Black like me? Yes, girl. So thank you for your work and your service to community in Tacoma.
Thank you. Thank you.
Director Leon?
Yeah. Thank you very much, Superintendent, for just a lifetime of dedication to students and learning. So not just here, you've been doing this other places for a long time, but specifically here, you've laid the groundwork and leaving a legacy for just an amazing educational system. And going forward, we have you to thank for a lot of that. So I know you've worked hard, and you had a whole team of people, and obviously all the staff here working with you. So you didn't do it alone, but leadership is important. So thank you for giving us all your time.
Thank you.
Okay,
so much.
so if you wouldn't mind coming up, and all of us can get up and go.
Stop it. No, don't tell me what to do.
Okay. Calm down, kids. Okay, you ready? Picture.
Thanks, Mark. Hold on.
Yep, okay.
All right, here we go.
Try one more time. It's been an awkward night. A round of applause for the superintendent.
Everybody say 1, 2, 3.
All right, thank you. So moving on to the superintendent's report. So after that, now you have to talk. 7.1, equity in action.
It's a pleasure, and thank you so much for mentioning that. I've been going to every school and really working to find out what the journey has been in each school, and I have hit several jewels. Everybody's doing a good job. Everybody's working toward aligned goals and activities that support those goals. But one of the things I was really struck by was when I went to Sammy and how they were empowering their youth to do some things. And so I asked them if they would come to a board meeting, and they were eager to do that. So I'm going to ask Joni Hall and Liz Minks to come up and introduce the students so that they can talk about some of the equity work. I only gave them a little bit of time, so you won't hear the breadth of what they can do. They can do incredible things. Joni?
Thank you so much for inviting us. So I just wanted to say just a few words. We're going to give most of the time to the students, which is kind of the theme, is that the equity framework, the TPS equity framework that you all spearheaded, we unpacked it together with the students. And the students said, yeah, that's happening. No, that's not happening. No, that's not happening either. You know, and so we knew we had a lot of work to do. So we aligned our ASB with an equity leadership class, and students have started to do projects. And so we have some students to kind of talk about that a little bit.
And I just want to say that one of the most exciting things for me as part of the SAMI community is to watch the ownership and the voice and the leadership that our students take on in our school in partnership with their teachers, with their fellow students, and with our community on the amazing work that they do for us and the things they bring to our school. And so they've got the story and they're going to tell you because they tell it the best.
Hello, my name is Shaden Howell, and I'm a representative from SAMI. So today I want to talk to you guys about step-in circles. So when we were looking at the outline, it was kind of talking about building more community amongst like the students and amongst like teachers to students. So one way I thought of like implementing this in a way to like break the ice is a step-in circle. So for me, like a step-in circle is like, it's a great way to break the ice. It's a good way for students that like aren't as vocal in a classroom setting to actually like have a place, like a voice when it's actually like a silent activity. So also with the step-in circle, since it's kind of hard to talk about certain topics and like really voice that, and if you're not used to that, it's kind of almost an impossible task, it feels like. So with this, you kind of can either refrain by standing still or step forward and join the activity. So the step-in circle, really what it is, it's so that students can like also know like, dang, like I go through things that I go through, I'm not alone. Like a lot of my peers also go through the same thing to feel like more comfortable in like a classroom environment. Is it this? Oh, okay. Okay, thank you. So how step-in circles work, the classroom will stand, they'll get in a circle with room to step forward. Okay. So before anything is asked, norms must be set. It's a silent activity, like no sidebars, because it kind of takes away from the entire kind of looking and taking in. Confidentiality is kind of the most important thing. If students feel like they can't really be open and honest, that kind of takes away from the entire reason that they're doing it. So there's different levels of questions that are going to be asked. And so it's really apparent that when we're talking about these questions, we tell them like there are going to be questions that may hit deeper than others. So it is okay to like let them know that you do not have to step if you don't feel like it. You can stay still and kind of just take in the entire environment. So after 2 to 3 questions from each level, discussions can be like covered about these topics like after the fact. So I'll kind of explain the questions I'm talking about. Okay, so we have 3 different levels of questions. So there's surface, shallow, and deep. So surface level questions are kind of like, you know, you're putting your toes in the water, you're trying to like make sure it's warm enough. And so we kind of, what we did is kind of, it envelops the entire group. So like, for example, step in if you enjoy ice cream. You know, a lot of people like ice cream, it may envelop the whole group. So when we go deeper than that, we go to shallow questions. So these might hit like more at home, depending on whatever you're talking about. So with these questions, we did like step forward if you've ever felt unheard, or step forward if you've ever done things you regret to prove yourself, or step forward if you've ever seen or experienced bullying. Because it's not talked about in a traditional classroom, it's a very what's the word? Sorry. Oh, okay. So since it's not talked about often, it can be a very like uncomfortable like topic to talk about, right? Like we feel kind of uneasy. We're not used to it. So because of this, instead of having to talk about your experiences or things that you've lived, it's kind of just like step forward and let's like all see like the common experience that we've had to go through. So for deeper level questions, there's just kind of like a warning because it can go into traumatic things and make people feel like, wow, like I kind of forgot like I had gone through this. Like it's kind of, brings it to light. So for this, we had questions of step forward if you have or know someone who has been sexually assaulted. Step forward if you've ever felt unsafe in an environment because of your race, gender, sexual identity, religion, or spiritual practice. And step forward if you've ever experienced or know someone who has experienced suicidal thoughts. So things like this, once students see that like wow, like I'm really not the only person that's like having a hard time in school, and like people go through like the same things as me, it kind of builds up familiarity with their peers. And it's like, dang, like he's like cracking on, like maybe I could talk to him about this, or like maybe he might be able to kind of reflect with me and like how to grow from the experience. So the most important thing to me about the step-in circle is that it's versatility. It doesn't always need to be a trauma-filled like step-in. It can really be like if you're understanding the topic like in class, it's like step in if you think you could describe to me what, for example, a segregationist is, right? And like students can step in and be like, okay, well I can't, so I'm just gonna stay still. So it kind of lets you like grasp the concept of what's going on.
Cool.
Thank you for your time, and that's all I have for you guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello, my name is Javon Smith. I'm a junior at SAMI, the Science and Math Institute. I am the head of the Restorative Justice program that we have. Restorative Justice is a disciplinary committee focused on stopping the school-to-prison pipeline. So the school-to-prison pipeline also involves the power circle, where the outer people who have less vocalization and power upon what happens in the community in the like economic setting, such as school. So not the people that are more exiled, but the notable, like the weirdo people, the colloquial people who don't really have as much say over what goes on in their school, upon their like cultural showcase, over their presentations, over their many different school events that happen. They don't have a lot of power, so they feel exiled. This also comes along with minorities. A lot of minorities, such as myself, or just the BIPOC as a whole, feel exiled or on the outer shell of the power circle because we don't have a lot of power because of the systematic oppression that is bestowed upon us at such a young age. But the Restorative Justice program, it helps with, as I said, the school-to-prison pipeline. The school-to-prison pipeline happens because of minorities or just a human as a whole is seen or labeled as a bad child, a bad human, somebody without needs or cause, somebody who just does something because they feel like it. And that forces them to think of themselves as that human, as that disgusting being, that unhuman-like being. And it continues that all the way until they're out of school. And after you get out of school, there is no more suspension, there is no more expulsion, there is no more ISS. You go straight to prison. And it's just a cold thought process that people don't think about a lot, but that's what restorative justice is here for. It's to slow back on the expulsions and the suspensions and bring the community in from the outer members of the power circle to the inner members of the power circle, so all voices can be heard and understood better, so we don't have as many exiled people and we actually put power into the right hands and spread it among us all instead of keeping it to a select few. Restorative justice does this in many ways through author circles, step-in circles, as you can see, relationship circles, and many just different ways of everyday beings that help us and grow a better community and understanding of each other. So I'll go into depth a little bit on the author circles. Author circles are where we have we don't like to use the word, how would I explain this? We don't like to use the word victim or like offendee, the person that did the causing the trauma that actually did this to you. We like to use the word author. I have a speech impediment. I'm sorry if that word comes out wrong. AUTHOR, author, such as writing a novel or book. The author is usually the person that is offended or caused pain or trauma to other people. So the author circle is where we come in with two restorative justice agents who are giving the face of the community and the voice of the community of how the community was impacted by the author's doing, such as throwing a microaggression at somebody. Maybe they had a physical altercation with somebody. There's many different things that the author circle can do and build upon. And then what it comes to in the end is the resolution of the author understanding what they did wrong and how they can improve themselves in the community and the community around them. So we usually given like, one of the first author circles that we had was a student that got caught vaping in the bathrooms. So what we did with him was we sat down, we had a meeting. He had to type out a full like essay upon why nicotine is bad and how it affects the body. We had him put up posters around the school, and then we also had him do a presentation to one of the classrooms. Restorative justice, as you saw, goes into many other things just besides the school to prison pipeline, such as the stepping circles. We use this presentation and one of the relationship circle presentations to do a 90-minute professional development meeting with our whole entire school board. So all the teachers at our school, like the basis level trained in restorative justice. So it's really helpful just to not only restore the school to prison pipeline, or not only to destroy the school to prison pipeline, but to also improve the community around us. So thank you for your time.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah.
I'm curious from both of the gentlemen here to if you can maybe give an example of how you've seen, because this work that you've been doing sounds completely transformational probably for some of the behaviors that are happening at school. Can you give some examples on how this work has changed the way students interact with each other?
Well, I've seen a lot of students like at my school, like microaggressions used to be thrown around like casually because people see it as like a joking or like a non-harmful thing, when people really don't understand the impact over the intention, you know? It's really about learning about, even though you didn't mean to say that, your words can still have that effect on somebody, you know? So we see that less microaggressions are thrown, though more people understanding and becoming more of an interrupters, you know, instead of just letting everything slide. Somebody could say the trigger warning, somebody could say faggot, and then we would have somebody come over and say, how was that funny? What was the point of that? Why would you do something like that? You see, we have a lot of homosexuals and LGBTQI communities at the school, and it just offends a lot of people. So being an interrupter over just being a regular student or civilian.
Cool.
I think it also builds like accountability for everybody, because with the author victim circles, not only can it be student to student, it can be teacher with student, student with teacher. Like, hey, like I didn't like how you came up to me and just kind of, oh, I like your hair, and just kind of fondled it. Like for me and my culture, like we don't like when other people touch our hair. So like things like that, it kind of really like holds accountability. And like even like he was saying, it kind of like being an interrupter, it's like having the vocabulary and the knowledge to combat like microaggressions and things that people may not understand fully, because there are a lot of microaggressions that happen because somebody is trying to be nice, but it's the intent versus the impact. Like you did intend to be nice and like can maybe like uplift me, but in the opposite, you did the opposite. So it like it builds accountability for each student and teacher.
Fantastic. Oh, thank you. That was fabulous, and kudos to the SAMI team for encouraging this and continuing it. It's perfect examples of why restorative justice is important. And Director Strozier and I, before the meeting, were talking about all these violence acts that are going on across the country, and we're just saying, you know, we have to start where we have impact here in Tacoma and just teach love, teach kindness, teach restorative justice, and hopefully, we will change the way people think about each other. So in a good way. All right. Thank you, Superintendent, for that. 7.2 is the Head Start Year in Review.
Michelle Lewis.
Oh, Michelle.
Just a supplement. If you guys close out of the agendas you have, there's a new one that should be on your desktop. Try that, and this should work.
Thank you.
Good evening, and thank you for giving us the opportunity to come and share our year with you.
Okay.
All right. My name is Michelle Lewis, and I am the Director of Early Learning and support our Head Start program. Some of the things, our accomplishments for this year. We are very proud that we were able to maintain our in-person instruction throughout the entire school year. With those limited times where we had to temporarily close due to a COVID outbreak, however, we were one of the few that were able to maintain this in our region for Head Start. So that was one of our biggest accomplishments and that we are very, very proud of. We are also very proud of our enrollment rates, that during the pandemic and coming out of COVID, that we were able to have one of the highest enrollment rates in our region. It's at 80% full enrollment. So we were running approximately like between 330 and 340 children enrolled consistently throughout the year. With that, we were able to maintain 83% attendance, slightly below our performance standard, which is 85. But however, within the global pandemic, keeping kids healthy and well and being able to attend class, we are very proud of that 83% number. One of the other things that we were able to do this year is to finally complete our program self-assessment in person with our community as well as our Head Start families to participate in that. And that information will be used to set our next goals and to make next steps for the upcoming school year. We were also able to reestablish our Health Advisory Committee. These meetings support the health and wellness of our early learners and our early learning families, making sure that they have access and the resources to be able to get their well child checks done, to be able to visit a dentist, and have those community partnerships around with our healthcare community. Our kindergarten readiness scores continuously go up, so we've seen significant growth between fall and spring. And one of the biggest things that I am very, very, very happy that happened, that we worked very hard on as a community, Head Start community and an early learning community, was to be able to get the SNAP food stamp program passed as categorically eligible for enrollment. So what that means is that we are aligning closer to medium income levels and not just the poverty levels when we live in a higher economical region. And another great accomplishment that was one of the asks over the last couple of years pre-pandemic was to really simplify our application system and process to be able to give families quick access to be able to see if they are qualifying for our preschool programs. So very happy that we have that up and running and that we opened that April 11th of this year, and we have over 700 applications for preschool right now.
Awesome.
That we are filtering through. So our next steps, of course, we want to reach full enrollment. Again, with all of the applications coming through, I don't see that as being an issue. We want to get back to our 85% or above attendance. One of the things that was asked is to look at our equity in our written materials. So we've been looking into contracting with an agency to be able to do 6 different languages of our highest needs with all of our written materials in Head Start, and address some of those key findings that came out of our self-assessment. We have been waiting for the 2020 census data to be released, and we're going to be using that data to be able to update our community assessments to make next steps when we move into our next 5-year grant cycle. I have here with me our chair, or vice chair for our policy council, who's going to give you a little bit of an update of her journey through Head Start. And I'm going to introduce Susie.
Good evening. My name is Azucena Alejo. I am one of the parents for Head Start and also the vice chair for our policy council. I was given the opportunity to be part of the policy council when our family advocate, she encouraged the parents to attend the meetings. So the way of our parents, like the parents that come in and do the drop off for our kids and stuff, they were like, can you please come in, sit in a meeting and see the policies and procedures that Head Start has for your children. That way we have a voice for our kids. So I was given that opportunity. I took it. I sat in the meetings and I learned a lot. It takes a lot to run Head Start, especially with our little kids. I was really thankful to be able to sit in and do all that. First time I'm here. For my daughter, just my kids in general, they've always been through the Head Start program. I feel it's important for them to get like a foot in right away and get a routine set. It's new to them, school, everything. They are excited to go to school and have a routine, and they get to meet teachers and become acquainted with little kids their age right away, and they make friends and they love it. I really enjoy when my daughter comes home with her homework and she's excited showing me her work and how she gets rewarded if she turns in her homework with little stickers. She's excited for that. So I do appreciate all that she's learned within Head Start, especially with something that I recently became acquainted with was conscious discipline, and how Head Start is teaching our kids how to self-regulate their emotions, especially at an early age. I do appreciate what she's learning and how she's applying it just at her age herself. Like if she has strong emotions and she's getting angry, she's able to breathe, self-regulate. She's been taught how to control her breathing and see what's her problem, and she uses her big girl words. So I'm really thankful for that. And she has one more year with Head Start, so I'm looking forward to that. And again, I want to give a thank you to Michelle for allowing parents to be part of the Policy Council and learn and have a voice and be able to do all that within the Policy Council as well. Thank you.
Thank you for coming.
Our last slide is we just want to give thanks to all of our Policy Council members. We have 19 classrooms this year, and we had 19 parent volunteers that spend 1 to 2 hours every month coming to our meetings and discussing the needs of our community and the needs of their kids in their classroom. So thank you again for having us.
Well, thank you. And before you guys leave, I see if there's anyone has any comments or questions. I'm looking over at Director McElroy because I know she's got a comment.
I don't have a question, though. It is just a comment. I appreciate all the work of all of our early learning educators, specifically the Head Start program, but we also have peer inclusion and ECAP and like 2 other programs that I forgot the name of. But I'm thankful for your leadership, Michelle, and what you're doing in the early learning department. And thank you for bringing the parents together. It was really fun to go to the first in-person Policy Council meeting a month or so ago, but it was really fun to see a bigger group. My school is so small, so I'm like, okay, look at all these people who really care about the policies for their children. So thank you.
Anyone else have a comment? Okay. Oh, Director Leon?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's just important to congratulate you again on those high attendance rates. So it was not easy in the pandemic and everything you were going through. So that must have been really hard to do. So the kids really needed that. So I appreciate you doing that. And the simple application process, I had a family already thank me for that. They were already very appreciative of that. And then the 6 languages is so important at that early age. So thank you for implementing that.
Thanks so much for all the hard work you do. We know that learning and getting used to school is so important, and Head Start, ECAP, and all those early learning programs really help give kids a head start. So thank you so much for coming and sharing. Thank you. Okay, on to Superintendent. Is there anything more in the superintendent's report that you wanted to add?
No, I think they did a good job. That's great.
They did do a good job. All right, on to item 8, staff report to the board. 8.1, strategic benchmark monitoring report on partnerships.
Ask Amanda to come back to the front.
All right, good evening again. This has been a great board meeting. Almost cried about Superintendent Santorno leaving. Youth inspired me. I am happy to be here to talk about partnerships and give you an update, our end of the year report. Again, Amanda Scott Thomas, Director of the Partnership Office. I want to shout out the 2 staff I have working with me. You guys afforded me a team this year. So Victoria Keys, who is our project specialist, and Renee Wren Sweetser, who is our office tech. So I'm so excited to share about what we've been up to this year. So I guess I'm turning it. All right. So as you all know, and beloved community, just to let you know, the mandate for the Partnership Office is fully engaging parents, community staff, and young people in their education. And so everything we do centers around that mandate. The report that I am sharing with you today, I report twice a year. This monitoring report is on our volunteer numbers. So as you can see, for the year 2022, and that's September to today or till May, we had registered 2,967 volunteers. We are rebounding from COVID, even though that looks like a small number. We are rebounding. Our monthly numbers have been consecutively pretty high as far as registrations monthly. Historically, the bulk of our volunteers do register in September and October, the beginning of the school year. This year, I think because of pandemic and people re-engaging in school, our largest numbers have actually been in February, March, and April. So we did have an uptick in September and October, but our largest, or the 44% of our volunteers registered in the February, March, and April. And then March was our highest number. We always have a slight dip in November and December because of the holidays. Let's see, we wanted to let you know that you will see that there has been a trend historically that our numbers are dropping when it comes to volunteers. When I first got to the district, we were probably registering about 10,000 annually, and there's been a consistent trend moving downwards. There's two explanations that we can, this is a hypothesis as to the changes in our numbers and decreasing over the years, is that in 2018, when we started formalizing partnerships, again, that was the mandate of our office to get them formalized, to create MOUs and contracts. Per the terms and agreement in our partnership contracts and MOUs, our volunteers are responsible for registering volunteers. So those volunteers that we were formerly getting coming through school buildings, through our processes, we're now going through community partners. And we're having that, again, happen more and more as we formalize partnerships and they take the responsibility of the fingerprinting and the background check. And so we still do process volunteers, but that shows some of the decrease. The other decrease in volunteer numbers over years is that in 2018, there was a change in law where volunteers had to, in schools, had to get a fingerprint background check, and that cost was passed on to the volunteers. Because that law was something that the legislature instituted, it took a while for the system to adjust and for us to apply that and change practice. And so we did not work around it, but we understood that applying that law, it didn't apply to all volunteers. So there was some education that needed to happen and some change in practice. And so now our volunteers can come in. They do not necessarily have to be fingerprint, but they can run the background check. And then they also don't have to be fingerprinted, that extra step, if they are volunteering in a classroom under the supervision of TPS staff. So it took a little while for us to really understand how that law rolled out and it impacted our volunteer numbers. And so we want you to know that these, again, are educated guesses, but that also promoted the necessitation or the necessity for an online volunteer management system. And so I've been talking to you about that system for quite some time. We were about to launch it when COVID hit, right? And so this year we were going to do a relaunch, but as you know, the teacher shortage, the capacity of our staff, just to the re-engagement has started off slow. So it's begun, but I don't have a whole bunch to share with you. We're in the process of planning. Like I said, the volunteer numbers are going up, but we'll be piloting that online volunteer management system this upcoming school year. So things didn't move as quickly as we would have liked them. But it is the desire for teachers and staff to re-engage volunteers. And with this new system, we'll be able to provide you better data as to who's volunteering, where they're volunteering, why they're volunteering, and doing more volunteer recruitment electronically. So those are our numbers for volunteers for 2022. We will be collecting that information until the end of the school year. So that number is probably going to look a little bit different when I report to you next year, because there'll be some added data to that. So the key findings are, again, increase our volunteer numbers. They are increasing. Again, I told you that historically 50% of our volunteers registered in the fall. Because of the pandemic, that's changed a bit, and we are up, and volunteer numbers continue to increase monthly, especially starting in February and March of this year. Next steps is to complete the streamlining of the volunteer processes, the centralization. And again, the volunteer online management system is not just for volunteer engagement and support of volunteerism, but it's also a safety component to that, making sure we know who's in our buildings and that they are passing the appropriate background checks, because safety is a priority for Tacoma Public Schools. The other next step is to, again, relaunch the Safe Visitor with safety and security. That's an interdepartmental effort, a collaboration, and then VOMO, the online volunteer management system for 2022-2023. This is the benchmarks for formal partnerships, and that by formal partnerships, it means that these partners have a formal MOU or contract with the district. We do have informal partners, so we have some organizations that come through our formal partners and may be serving students, and they have another process that we go through, but we account for those that are in our system. You can go on the public database and look up our active partners. These partners are youth serving and expanded learning opportunity partners. So that's what that number represents for 2022. You see we have 63, which is along the lines of what we normally have as far as formal active partnerships. And this is from September 2022 to May 2022, or 2021 to May 2022. You all like to see every year, I give you this pie chart, which shows you how partnerships are dispersed throughout the district. So while the partnership office takes a lion's share of establishing partnerships, we are no wise the only department that manages or establishes partnerships, because partnership is a district-wide value and everybody can do that. And so we often assist other departments, but these are the ones that are managed by those departments. So you can see what that looks like throughout the district. Our key findings is this year we had a chance to, because we had a little bit more downtime, I think, because of the pandemic. It was less external activity, more building of infrastructure and systems. So we optimized that time. So we worked with the contracts office to refine our report on ELOs and family support partnerships. Now there is on the contract and MOU intake form, there is a box that gets marked if this is a youth serving expanded learning opportunity program. And so again, we're fine-tuning data so that when we report to you on those contracts and partnerships, we'll be able to identify those ones that are directly in support of students or expanded learning opportunities. The partnership data reflects new formal partnerships district-wide. Again, I report on the ones that are for the district for students and families. We did have 7 new expanded learning opportunities formalized this year just through our office. And those are programs, again, that we do a lot of pilots. I call myself the queen of the pilot. So when somebody wants to come in and say, hey, we'd like to try this program at your school, I walk them through, provide technical assistance, and establish them as a partner. Usually what happens is if they have great success, it gets expanded throughout the district. So we started 7 of those this year. We instituted this year too, because of the pandemic, families and education virtual gatherings. Myself and the Title I department, my colleague George Pete and I collaborated together and offered this monthly opportunity for an online space for parents to come together, ask questions, get information about Title I programming and that family engagement, those dollars that each of the Title I schools get. They get to make decisions about that money. So they got Title I information, but they also heard from a speaker. We didn't just invite folks. We asked parents who they wanted to hear from and what subjects. And so we had a monthly gathering from November to May, and we had a internet safety person come twice because parents are really concerned about social media and their kids' engagement in social media. And so we had a national expert come and facilitate an hour training, and that led to other trainings of staff. We also had a mental health expert that talked about supporting your child at home with mental health supports. We had a financial literacy focus. And so again, it was based on what parents said that they were interested in. And in this next upcoming year, we will be engaging more people in that collaboration, more departments. So we're looking at partnering with the whole child department as well as the CTE department to do these virtual family gatherings, again, to broaden the scope of what we'll be discussing and talking about. Would love to have you all as a guest if you ever want to partake. And then this year, we reinstituted the college tours for families. We did that every year prior to COVID, where we took we supplied a bus and took parents and kids out to our 7 institutions in Tacoma, higher ed partners. This year, we instituted those again. I was worried about participation, but we actually had record number registration. We had about 200 folks show up for our visits that were in person. We went and visited University of Puget Sound, Pacific Lutheran University, Evergreen State College, Tacoma campus. We did UW-T and TCC. We did have a Pierce scheduled Pierce visit that actually had to go online. We had 3 online admissions presentations by Clover Park, Bates, and Pierce this year. So we did have an online option, but families were really anxious and really happy to get out and go tour the colleges. So that was great this year. And so we'll be doing that again for next year. Those went really well. Our next step is to continue the focus on partnerships, aligning them with the district goals and benchmark data, of course, to continue development of the partner portal and platform for partners to access data. This is, again, aligning with Green Trike and their efforts, making sure that all of our partners have access to the data that they need. There's a general data set that most partners have access to, but sometimes grant requirements cause us to have special data agreements, and so we work on those. We are continuing to build the community partnership office internal hub and the external website. I don't know if you've gone on and checked it out, but because of the dynamic team that I have, our internal hub is legit fire. It is good. And so we have automated a lot of our documents and tools that our students or that our staff need. So now you can do help a student fund applications online, volunteer applications online. So we're automating everything. And I could not make that possible without the fantastic technical expertise of my team members. So shout out to them. And then we have a presence now on the external hub, which is continuing to be built. And so there'll be a family and community engagement component of that. There is also community events, education-related community events, and a summer calendar that we host. And so all those things, infrastructure is being built, and I'm super excited about that. We are continuing to work on our pathways to equitable partnerships. Now with this fabulous team that I have that's helping me establish partnerships, we're going to take a deeper dive into the quality of our partnerships and increasing capacity of our staff and the district of being a good partner, because it is a reciprocal relationship, right? So we want to be a good partner, and we want our partners to be set up for success in partnering with us. There's a lot of opportunities for us to receive grant funding together, do family engagement together, and so we're developing the tools and the infrastructure to help our staff and our community partners do that. So that is the equitable partnerships work that we'll be engaged in, or we've started, but that we'll really be implementing some things this upcoming school year. We're also working with the Gates Washington Bridge Portfolio Community of Practice Project. Because of COVID, there were some funders that wanted to support capacity building in school districts, and we're one of several school districts across the state that is getting some technical assistance to improve some of our strategies, and one of our focuses is family and community engagement. And so I've been working with the family liaisons, our technical assistant and provider, which is NWEA, and our staff to build some Karen Map dual capacity framework modules that really look at the core competencies in relational trust building at the school level. And so we've created these modules. And so that's an exciting project. They'll be here actually next month to do some filming. So we'll have a product at the end to show you the work that we've been doing throughout this year. The community liaisons and family liaisons have been deeply engaged in this work. And we now have a tool that will be used by them and other staff to do family engagement significant work. And then also, lastly, the Superintendent's Parent Advisory. Before the pandemic, Carla used to host them, I think, 3 to 4 times a year. I'm in conversation now with our new Deputy Superintendent, Lisa Nolan, and we are planning for the Superintendent Parent Advisory Breakfast 2.0 that's happening, that will be launched this fall. So it'll look a little bit different, but we're excited about the change and some of the new opportunity that'll bring. We know parents are anxious to re-engage, get back in buildings, and make those connections. So that's for formal partnerships, our next steps. Any questions?
Well, thank you. Director Keating.
I just had one question about the pilots.
Yes.
Program. Is that VOMO? Is that the pilot?
Yes.
Program? Okay. How many schools are going to be participating in that?
In the pilot, it'll be 10 schools. It'll be where the family liaisons are located. So we're starting with the elementary schools because we have direct connection.
Awesome. Thank you.
Anybody else? Okay, great presentation as always, Amanda, and thank you to your team as well. And thanks for a great year.
It was a great year.
We seem to be partnering with professionalism. It's great.
Thank you.
Great example.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. Moving on to item 9, members of the public wishing to address the board. The school board members encourage public participation. Your civil input is appreciated. Board members will not respond to your comments during the meeting. The superintendent or designee will follow up with you after the meeting if action is needed. Instead of speaking at the meeting, you may also send an email to the board at board@tacoma.k12.wa.us. Please contact the board office in advance of the meeting for disability accommodations. We have 2 options. One is an in-person open meeting option, and the general counsel will call your name, and when it's your turn to address the school board, please speak to into the microphone. You may have up to 3 minutes to share your comments, or if there are a large number of speakers, time may be limited at the president's discretion. And then option 2, which is written comment, and that would have been submitted ahead. So I'll turn to the general counsel and ask, do we have anyone here to speak in person?
No, thank you. We don't have any written comment or in-person verbal comment this evening.
Okay, thank you. And then we will move on to the consent calendar.
I move to approve the consent agenda.
Okay, do we have a second?
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Anyone have any comments or questions about the consent items? Okay, hearing none. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? It's approved 5-0. I understand that our deputy counsel, soon to be general counsel, Malik Benro, has something to share.
Yes. Good evening, board. Thanks for giving me a few minutes here. I wanted to talk about item number 10.7. You just voted to approve the consent agenda. I wanted to take a few minutes to do a little bit of deep dive into that particular item. We have a candidate that's on that 10.7, the superintendent's recommendations, personnel recommendations, that I'd like to just say a few words about. So as you pointed out, I'm Malik Benro. I'm the current Deputy General Counsel for the school district. One of the candidates in there is going to be, now that you voted to approve the consent agenda, your future Deputy General Counsel here at the Tacoma School District. Her name is Katie Hyland. She's in the audience today, if you wouldn't mind giving a wave. She's here supported by her husband, Charlie. Just a few things you should know about her as you get to know her in the coming weeks and months as we work together. Katie is a proud graduate of Wazoo, also the Gonzaga School of Law. Katie comes to us with some really excellent experience locally here. She comes to us after working several years in-house at Multicare, after which she then had some experience working for a law firm that does a variety of legal issues. I'm confident, now that you voted to improve our consent agenda, that you'll find Katie to be an excellent member to the team. I think you'll find she'll be an invaluable contributor to the initiatives that support your strategic goal and strategic plan. So just wanted to make that introduction for you. Thank you.
Thank you, Malik. Welcome, Katie. We look forward to working with you and getting to know you. It's a roller coaster ride, but it is a lot of fun, and we're counting on you to be ready to go. Looking forward to meeting you. All right. So item number 11, policy matters. 11.1, first reading of revised regulation 1400R, meeting conduct order of business and quorum.
The district's general counsel recommends that the board review the proposed revised regulation 1400R and provide feedback before a second reading.
Do we have a motion?
I move to adopt.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Okay. General counsel, do you want to speak to this and why we're doing a regulation versus a policy?
Yes, so the board in your policies has asked that if there's a regulation in the 1000 series, therefore it being a board regulation, that it come forward to board approval since it's part of your governance. And I think it's a good governance practice. We've had some changes in the law for the Open Public Meetings Act. Recently, House Bill 1329 made some clarifications now in a post-pandemic world. So we've had a lot of emergency orders related to the Open Public Meetings Act that now we have some clarity on what can we do going forward. And one of the things, and I want to shout out to Sally Perkins, who I always appreciate. She gave me an email yesterday and gave me a little bit of history. You'll notice that at our board meetings, every single board meeting, we have a spot for public comment. And apparently it didn't used to be that way. And there were some community advocates who came forward, and the board made that decision. So it's interesting, once again, Tacoma School Board was ahead of the law. Now the law is making it a requirement that at an open business meeting, that there be public comment at each meeting. So we wanted to update our regulation to just reflect the good practice that you've been doing for some time. There's also now an encouragement that agencies take written comment. And that's something we started doing during the pandemic. And you've all given feedback that makes it more accessible for folks who don't want to physically come in and wait to give comment. And it's also more permanent because the written comment is actually appended on to the permanent record of the board agenda and minutes. So this regulation will also recognize that. And then the regulation is also making it clear when the board is going to record meetings and what meetings will not be recorded going forward. So this is, I think, a good update to mark some of the good practices that you've been doing over the years, and it's also to come into compliance with the law. We'll have a second reading on this regulation at the next meeting. There's no need to vote tonight, but we'll also run this regulation through the Equity Policy Review Team.
Perfect. Thank you, General Counsel. Anyone have any comments or questions about this one? Okay, we're not voting, so we will just move on to the next item and make sure you study up on it. And with the Policy Review Team, we'll get those comments before the second reading, correct?
Correct.
So keep your eye open for those. All right, 11.2, first reading of Policy 1430, public comment.
The district's general counsel recommends that the board review the revised proposal of Policy 1430 and provide feedback before a second reading.
Okay.
I move to adopt 11.2.
Well, I'm not sure we need to because it's a first reading.
Do we have to?
Correct.
I moved the last one. Was that the same?
We probably didn't need to because it was first reading. We just have it.
Sounded so good.
Yeah.
It did sound good.
I've been working on that, just so you know.
I know, it's been awesome. So comments on 1430?
This one, our policy was previously called audience participation. And so I'm recommending that we change it to public comment because I give credit to the district's general counsel for many years, Susan Schreer. She helped to mentor me as I first came on. And she said, remember that a board meeting is a business meeting that's held in the public, not with the public. And I appreciate so much that this board provides for many listening sessions and ways to engage with the public. But these are long agendas and you have a lot of business that you have to get done at these meetings. So also as a result of 1329, we're recommending that we change it to public comment and that we make it clear that we will make accommodations for people who may have a disability or may have an illness or anything really that would make it difficult for them to come to a public meeting, that will also make accommodations for them to be able to submit their verbal comment if they want to through an alternate message, alternate way of doing that. And then also the written comment provisions. So we needed to update both the regulation and the policy as a result of the legal changes to the OPMA.
Perfect. Anybody have any questions for General Counsel? And this too, I will go through the Equity Policy Review Team. So we will see their suggestions and any others that the public can also, I know that our website has a site where the public can go and make comments on these drafts in between first reading and second reading. And so I don't know, General Counsel, if you want to say where on the website they can find that.
Yeah, if you click on the section that's your page, the Board of Directors page, and then there's also a tab for policy, and you'll see on the right-hand side, there's a section for public comment or feedback on policies, and it'll identify the policies that are currently under review.
Thank you. So I encourage the general public to, go in and look at it if you're so interested. Thank you. Item 12, financial report. The district's next quarterly financial report will be presented in August 2022. Monthly financial statements can be found on the district's website at https://www.tacomaschools.org/department/business and finance. All right, on to item 13, curriculum instruction. 13.1, approval of the interlocal agreement with Oasis School TSD-22-121. Mr. Edmonds.
The Assistant Superintendent of Teaching and Learning recommends the Board of Directors approve the interlocal agreement with Oasis School.
Do we have a motion?
I move to adopt item 13.1.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Been moved and seconded. Any questions or comments? Hearing none, thank you very much. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Passes 5-0. Business matters. Item 14.1, approval of the negotiation and contract for school bus routing and student ridership technology.
The Chief Financial Officer recommends that the Board of Directors authorize the superintendent to negotiate and award the contract for school bus routing software and safe student ridership technology to Tyler Technologies, Inc.
Do I have a motion?
Move to adopt.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Any questions or comments on this one?
I'm grateful for this. I read it. I was like, that's a really good idea. Thank you.
Awesome. All right, hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? It passes 5-0. 14.2, approval of the guaranteed maximum price, the GMP, Amendment 4 to contract number TSD-21-147 between Tacoma Public School District Number 10 and Ashford Construction for the Safety and Security Upgrades Bundle Project.
Yes, this is the continual process of security upgrades occurring across the district. The Chief Operating Officer recommends that the Board of Directors approve GMP Amendment 4 and authorize the superintendent or designee to sign the amendment document for the completion of designated scope to complete Phase 1, increasing the contract sum to the amount of $7,499,623, excluding sales tax.
I move to adopt.
A second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, appreciate that. Passes 5-0. Item 14.3, approval of change order number 1 to Skyline Elementary School project with Turner Construction Company, TSD-20-174, for right-of-way improvements and street lighting, speed humps, and storm system upgrades.
Skyline is our 5th design build project, and until today, we've had 0 change orders. The $1.3 million change order is due to required work for the city of Tacoma not being included in the original contractor by the design build contractor. On every project, we set aside money due to escalation or any risk that might arise within our projects. The $1.3 million will come out of those allocated funds and will have 0 impact on current or future budgeted projects. I assure you that our team will ensure that this doesn't happen in the future with our projects where required work is not included in the original contract. The Chief Operating Officer recommends that the Board of Directors approve change order number 1 to the agreement with Turner Construction Company for the Skyline Elementary School replacement project and authorize the superintendent or designee to sign said agreement in the amount of $1,300,587, excluding sales tax.
Do you have a motion?
I move to adopt item 14.3.
Do you have a second?
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Any questions or comments? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Passes 5-0. 14.4, approval to award Musco Sports Lighting LLC through KCDA for the purchase of field lighting fixtures and equipment.
The Chief Operating Officer recommends the Board of Directors authorize the superintendent or designee to award Musco Sports Lighting LLC through KCDA the purchase of field lighting fixtures and equipment. The total award amount is $784,296, excluding sales tax.
Do we have a motion?
Move to adopt.
Been moved?
Second?
It's been moved and seconded. Any questions or comments? Hearing none. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Passes 5-0. 14.5, approval of bid acceptance for the McKinley Elevator and ADA Ramp Project.
Yes, this is the continual process of improving our ADA projects across the district. The Chief Operating Officer recommends the Board of Directors accept the bid for McKinley Elevator and ADA Ramps Project for SCF General Contractors LLC in the amount of $741,762, excluding sales tax.
Thank you. Any motion?
I'll move to adopt.
It's been moved.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Any comments or questions? Hearing none. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Passes 5-0. Thank you, Mr. Williams. Appreciate it. Okay, item 15, other business. We have none this evening. And so we have reached the point of board comments. And as is tradition, we will start with our student reps who, this is the last board meeting we'll hear from you, I guess. So come on, you guys.
Sing your songs, swan songs.
This is it. Stand up at the mic. I think they're doing rock, paper, scissors. Speaking of rock, paper, scissors. All right, Shidra.
Hello. Hi, I'm Shidra from.
Yeah, you can pull it towards you. Okay, there you go.
Sorry.
Perfect.
Hello, I'm Shidra from Sammy. And as you guys heard, we had a cultural showcase yesterday. And it was like a highlight of many students. It was something that it was very interesting and enjoyable. It created such a beautiful environment. And I wish you guys were there. Something that I highly recommend that should be encouraged in other schools too, just because of how like fun it was. We're definitely talking about doing it again. So yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Caitlin, a senior at Stadium High School. And today was our Memorial Day assembly. It was really special, and our guest speaker was really touching. His son was a Stadium student who served in the military right after and was killed in Afghanistan. And it was just really interesting to hear, and I'm just everything's ending soon, which is kind of sad, but yeah. Thank you.
Thank you. Tasia?
I wrote a little something before I go. Hello, President Bonwright and directors of the board and people watching. As you may or may not know, my name is Tasia Watson. I use she, her pronouns, and I'm a current senior and ASB president of Tacoma School of the Arts. It has been a great honor and opportunity to serve as a student representative for the TPS school board this year. I greatly appreciate the platform to speak and advocate for students, but I realize that there is still work to be done, so I will sign off by speaking about something that I am very passionate about. Upon preparing for graduation, fellow seniors and I have been planning how we will celebrate. Seniors at my school, including myself, have wondered whether we could wear cultural or identity-related adornments during our graduation ceremony. When a Filipino student at my school requested to wear a cultural stole and headpiece, she was referred to your policy. When a student from the LGBTQ community asked permission to wear a pride pin on their gown, they were referred to your policy. When a Mexican student at my school asked to wear a threaded stole her tia got made for her in Mexico, she was referred to your policy. And when I asked to wear flags of my Panamanian, Guamanian, and Syrian ethnicity on my stole, I was referred to your policy. A district representative sent back the policy to a staff member at my school that reads, consistent with RCW 28A 600-500, students who are members of a federally recognized tribe may wear traditional tribal regalia or objects of Native American cultural significance along with or attached to a gown at graduation ceremonies or related school events. No additional adornments other than those authorized by the district may be worn during the ceremony. Therefore, since cultures other than Native American are not given special designation, no other additional adornments can be worn. RCW's state laws are what guide our graduation policy. A board representative then told a staff member at my school that allowing decorations on an individual basis would open up the possibility that this treasured ceremony would be disrupted by the chosen non-school adornments. It has infuriated my senior class that we are not allowed to celebrate or represent our cultures and identities at graduation. While I believe it is a step in the right direction, I do not understand why your policy stopped at Native American heritage. I believe that it should expand to other cultures, along with gender identities and sexualities. I understand that the intention of not allowing adornments may have been to prevent inappropriate wear at graduation ceremonies. However, I have spoken to the staff at my school who said that they would be willing to check if graduation adornments were appropriate, if we were allowed to wear them. No student is the same, and we should be allowed to represent who we are during our graduation ceremony. I believe that allowing individual schools administration to ensure that adornments are school appropriate could be a solution that allows for all students to feel celebrated. In my opinion, completely restricting the ability for students to celebrate their identity is worse than posing the risk that some students may wear non-school appropriate pieces. Although the state laws influence your policy on graduation wear, you have the power to write the policy. So I ask you, why don't you allow students to represent their identity and culture at graduation? I believe that if our school district lives by the phrase every student, every day, then we need to allow all students to celebrate their cultures and identities throughout all their education, including at graduation. Thank you.
Thank you, Tasia. And I'll just say that this is definitely not the first time this has come up. It actually comes up every year. And I know when my daughters graduated, they had similar questions, and I wasn't on the board at the time. And there are reasons that make sense as to why not, but it is something that I know we've talked about amongst ourselves individually, one-on-one. And so thank you for bringing it up again. And I think it always comes up right before graduation, and I think it would be nice, one of the things we're going to just talk about is, individually on is if we're going to do this, we want to think about it ahead of time so it's well thought out. So I apologize to those of you seniors, that there's definitely no change this year, but we will consider it. It's just not it's not going to work this year, and we have to take into account a lot of the different options, what you think is culturally appropriate and uplifting for you may be problematic if somebody else does it, or if so there's lots of reasons and we don't want to turn graduation into a policing experience where, you can graduate, but you can't, or you got to take this off, or you can't. So there's lots of reasons why this hasn't been changed over the years, but I love that you bring it up, and I think your arguments were well stated. So thank you.
Board reports.
Yep, I want board reports. So so let's start this time. Let's start with Director Leon.
Sure. So I'd just like to remind everybody that we have Tacoma Flex starting next year. It's been talked about in a few meetings, but that is the ability for students to not have a first period in high school at this point, time-wise, and then they would take that class remotely at a different time because of the evidence around health and academic performance being better for kids in that age range to sleep later in the morning and not have to get up so early. So I want to remind everybody to talk to your counselors about that at your schools now if you want your child to be able to enroll in that. There's a list of classes. All the standard classes are there. Not every single class would be available to be online. Some CTE classes and a few art classes. So I think that's an important step that our district has taken, and it's going to be more robust information on the websites coming soon. I want to thank our partners for working with us on the anti-racism policy. We've been working on this for several months now, more intensely, and there's been an invitation from our president and our superintendent to meet with partners to give feedback on that. So we welcome more of that, please. And then just congratulations to the stadium boys soccer team to get to the state playoffs, but they unfortunately lost Friday, but still did a great job.
Yes, I don't have a whole lot. I did, having missed the last business meeting, I wanted to share that I did attend Mount Tahoma's Intercultural, I think that's the new name, Intercultural assembly, not multicultural. I think that was the change. I think I got it. And it was amazing. It was so incredible. And I wish Paris was here because Paris sang the Black National Anthem and it was phenomenal. And all of the performances by the students, it just was really exciting. And the thing that I think moved me the most is no matter if anyone made a mistake, if someone had to restart something, like everyone was celebrated and cheered on. It was just really inspiring and very fun. So I'm definitely not going to miss that. And if there's other assemblies at other schools, we need to find a way so that we know these things so that we can attend. And I know we can't be of everything. I can hear Superintendent Garcia in my head right now. And then the WASDA meeting started up again today, actually. And today we spent the presentation, there's changing a little bit of the format in between session and legislative session. And we had the whole session was about student reps around the state. And it was really reassuring. I am biased about our program and our student reps that we have. And we do have a really fantastic program. And thanks to the students who choose to participate. So that was really fun to hear from other districts who have really strong student board representative programs, because this was a surprise, not all school districts have student reps in the state. So that was really cool. And then, are you going to talk about last Thursday?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I'll leave that to you.
You can mention it.
President Baumright and I were at SAMI. Governor Inslee and First Lady Trudy Inslee visited, and so that was really exciting. And it was just really exciting to watch the students, and actually students who were here from SAMI were part of that. That presentation. So that was really exciting to just watch the governor and the first lady interact with their students because, no surprise, our students led the whole way. So I'm just going to leave it with that.
Perfect. Director Strozier.
No board report for me. Just a shout out to our seniors. It's the final stretch.
Oof.
You're getting ready to embark on a journey of a lifetime. So I just want to, tip my hat to you. I encourage you to stay focused these last few weeks. If things get tough, reach out to somebody. Don't feel like you're ever doing anything alone. You're not. What you're about to step into could be scary, but there are still people here willing to support you. Lean into your family, lean into your friends. And it's go time, but it's the home stretch. It's time to celebrate. So just tip my hat, and I'm proud of all of our seniors here this year.
Okay, Director McElroy.
Well, I've had a lot of fun meeting with middle school students across our district, a few Boys and Girls Club visits, and a lot of fun conversations. And I just feel that using this platform to tell parents, remember to check in with your middle school students and talk to them about fights that are happening at their school and just the culture of that. I think sometimes they don't really know who to talk to. There are incidents of fights in bathrooms and in hallways that teachers don't always catch. And when children tell their safe adult, it might be 2 or 3 days later. So just make sure you're talking with your kids at home. And like you said, when you see something, say something. We're keeping that policy really strong. I appreciate all the middle school students who trusted me with their stories and trusted me that I was definitely going to tell their parents. And I did. And then just some things coming up in the community. There's the Heart of Tacoma Festival. That's going to be at the LeMay American Car Museum on June 4th from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. And it's hosted by Tacoma Refugee Choir, but it's through one of our partners, Green Trike. And they were really adamant of just telling people, come out, be involved in the community. We've been trying to heal the heart of the nation, heal the heart of Tacoma. And how do we do that? By coming together and spending time and joy and in laughter. There's dark times, but there's time to celebrate as well. So that's June 4th. And then right after that is graduation. Like you said, it's the home stretch. And I'm really looking forward to seeing you walk across the stage. And I apologize for what I can't change, but I support you. And so thank you all for the time.
Okay, great. Well, I will just say a couple things on, and thank you for some reminders about some things that are happening in community. I'll say one of our partners, Metro Parks Tacoma, has been reopening some places that have been shut. So that's exciting. The conservatory arboretum thing in Wright Park is now open and pretty spectacular. I haven't had a chance to get down there, but that's what I understand. And Owen Beach is reopening on June 4th. So that's very exciting. I will also say, if you haven't already seen the news, the 5 Mile Drive is going to be closed permanently because of the hill is caving, is eroding, and so it's unsafe for the road that goes around to the tip point. So I know that's very disappointing for everyone, but it will be great for bicyclists and people who are skateboarders and walkers who can actually enjoy that path without worrying about getting hit by a car. Anyway, so those are a couple things that are happening. Also, Jmac met last month, and so I will do the Jmac update. We had a quarterly meeting that's the Joint Municipal Action Committee, and we met with the CEOs of all of the agencies, and the topic this month was on JEDI, which is the Justice, Equity, Diversity, and Inclusion section, and it was about having affordable, accessible, high-quality, equitable childcare for everyone, and how do we make that happen? And the focus was really on the Beyond the Bell and Club Beyond, which are here in Tacoma Public Schools, and our partnerships with Green Trike and Metro Parks Tacoma, and how we are serving every single elementary school, all 36 plus the 10 middle schools, in terms of opportunities, early learning, extended learning opportunities from 3 to 6 p.m. available that are really student-driven. The classes are filling because they're excited about doing them, and we're working with partners in community from all levels, cultural centers, and all different types of arts and music that are coming and doing these after-school programs with our kids. And we have figured out a way to make sure that every student can participate regardless, because there's a fee. So this is really exciting work that we're doing, and it's very it's actually life-changing for these kids. So thank you to all of our partners for helping us make that happen. I sit on the Foundation for Tacoma Students Board as president of the Tacoma School Board. So we had our every other month meeting, and we focused on the Charting the Future conference that they held in April, which was well attended and pretty exciting. And there was even, on one of the days, there was a whole student track where they encourage students to come and talk amongst themselves and work together. And the focus of one of the focuses of Foundation for Tacoma Students this year, and Graduate Tacoma as well, is building capacity to support pathways for students post graduation, post high school graduation, whether it's college or career, but making sure that there is a pathway for everyone. And that's also built on partnerships that a lot of them that we have, but building externally too for the community to support our students. So that was a great meeting. Something that Director Strozier alluded to, but we haven't talked about yet, is that last Thursday night we were here for a very intense and I think productive study session on our anti-racist policy. And the conversation was rich, and I want to thank Deputy General Counsel Benroe and also General Counsel Renee Trueblood for all the hours that they put in ahead of time to help us have that conversation in a meaningful way. And we're looking forward to the next iteration when we can discuss it in the process of actually getting it passed. So thank you for that. And then the very last thing, I will just reiterate that the meeting with the governor and his wife to come to Sammy to see in action, the governor was so engaged. He really had a stop, a hard stop time, and it was like to get him out of there in time, because he could not stop the conversations with the students. The students were so engaging. The teachers just stepped back and just introduced the kids, and they just took it. And it was fantastic, and it's just proud to be. To represent Tacoma Public Schools when we have students who are so engaged in their learning, engaged in the programs, and working hard on site to make it better. So, and the governor that was not lost on the governor. As a matter of fact, and I can't remember the name of the student, but he actually was so impressed with the restorative justice work that's being done in Tacoma Public Schools, that the young gentleman who introduced it to the governor and talked about it and went on about it, the governor just in the middle, completely unrehearsed, told his staff to start Facebook Live, and he made the gentleman Washingtonian of the day. And it was this big, we were all going, what just happened? But it was very exciting because he just said this kid impressed him, and he loved the program, and so he was proudly wearing the pin as we all left.
The Apple pin.
The Apple pin. And so, I just want to say to all of you students out there within our system that we've got a program for you that you're going to connect with and that you're passionate about and that you can be a leader in. And so I will sort of echo Director Strozier's to say you're not alone in this. And if you're feeling like you don't know what that is, what your passion is, talk to your friends, but talk to an adult in your school that you trust and see if you can't start figuring out a pathway to feed your passion. All right, so I guess that's it. Oh, and I will go on with the next item, which is the next set of meetings. And we are meeting on June 9th for a business meeting at 6 p.m. here. And then the week of the 13th, 14th, and 15th is we are going to be busy back to back at graduations, handing out in-person diplomas to our wonderful graduates. And this is our favorite time of year. And so we're looking forward to seeing everyone there in the Tacoma Dome for 3 straight days. It's kind of back to back. And so everybody, have your protein drink in the morning and be ready to go because it is fun, but it's long. And then on June 23rd, we'll be back here for another business meeting. And then the next business meeting in July, we're only having, it starts on the 14th, and it's at 6 p.m. So everyone probably knows the schools are closed tomorrow, so do not go to school. You have the day off. And we are also closed on Monday for Memorial Day. I believe the administrative offices are open here at CAB, but the schools themselves are shut. So, and I'm getting, I think that wasn't what I was supposed to say right in the back room there. No. But anyway, so everyone have a fantastic long weekend. Be safe, be careful, and love each other. This meeting is officially adjourned.
Thank you.